Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs on this Monday. Yes, it is Thanksgiving week, but we are live from our studios in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's great to have you with us, not only here on Golf Channel, but always PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM's Channel 92. I'm Gary Williams, and as you know, this program is always brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. When it comes to business insurance needs, let them evaluate what you're doing, and I promise they'll likely make it better because they are right by you. They invest in golf with the USGA, with the First Tee. Proud to have them present us every single day. Golf Pride had my Align Max grips down there in the Low Country outside of Brunswick, Georgia, right there. And I did not have a glove for 6 holes. Didn't matter. Not what I prefer, but an example of why they are better, trusted by more players at every level of Golf Pride. And then finally, Peter Millar. You know, some people get knighted like Nick Faldo. I'd rather be crowned by Peter Millar, and was 15 years ago. And when it comes to being able to have everything that you need in your closet, wherever it is that you're going, whatever it is that you're doing, it is Peter Millar and petermillar.com. All right, on this Monday, it's our lone show of the week because it is Thanksgiving week. We're going to get out of the way of all of the football and the other things going on. We'll be back next Monday, but because we're just doing one show today, the thing that matters most to us is that we give some love to dogs, which we normally do on Wednesday. But today, we will close the show giving love to the greatest creatures on earth with Dogs of the Week on what is a Monday getaway day. I could get very used to this. Also today, Xander Schauffele is going to join us in less than 15 minutes. Looking forward to talking to him about an interesting year in so many ways. Nobody wants to deal with an injury, but while he was injured, they were also expecting a child. We'll talk about that and how that changes everything, and also how after the Ryder Cup, he got a win just a couple weeks later. Looking forward to that conversation with one of the best players in the world, Xander Schauffele. Now, it's over. It's finally over. When Sami Välimäki was wrapping his putt in to finish off his first win on the PGA Tour, it's about the time that the Eagles and Cowboys were kicking it off from Big D. So it's finally over. What started in Maui ends at St. Simon's Island. Congratulations to Sami Välimäki from Finland. He wins for the first time on the PGA Tour by one shot over Max McGreevy, who's a great story in and of itself because he shot 63 in the final round, and that changed his outlook of 2026. Ricky Castillo. Now, for those people in the back who can't hear me loud enough, who are going, it's Castillo. It's not. When the family and the player himself says, we pronounce it Castillo, you pronounce it the way they do. So he makes a great run to try to get in the top 100, gets squeezed. He needed a tie for second, a four-way tie for second to get inside that top 100. But nonetheless, with conditional status, he's likely to get mostly all the starts you would hope to if you were in the top 100. So you look at that jam up at tie for 7th and tie for 4th. Nico Echeverria, Lee Hodges, oh my, the putt he had on the final hole that would have got him inside the top 100 going into 2026. The Mercurial Siwoo Kim also in a tie for 4th. And then there was a gaggle of players tied for 7th. Sam Stevens, who's becoming a really reliable, productive player. Rico Hoey, Andrew Novak, that's a home game for him. And my pick, Michael Thorbjornsen, who I think, you know, look, you don't guarantee that anyone's going to win a golf tournament, but I think that Michael has very good chances to win next year. It was interesting when Johnson Wagner and Brendan Young were in here about a month ago. We were talking about players that you really like a lot going into 26, and Michael was one of my guys, and Johnson was pointing out, look, he's got to become more efficient with shorter clubs in his hand because he's got to take advantage of the fact that he's got length. Length is only a great advantage is if the next shot you hit is a shot that in proximity is closer to somebody who's 20 yards behind you. But let's get to some of the bigger picture stuff, starting with the guy who won. Because Sami Välimäki, consider this, 2 of his last 3 starts, he finished second at the Worldwide Technologies a couple of weeks ago, and then he won yesterday. In those 2 events alone, he was 50 under par. 50. That's crazy. Now, I understand that these golf courses, and I was down there at Sea Island and the Seaside Golf Course and Plantation because they want those golf courses to present themselves during the winter months for all the guest play. Not the firmest, fastest golf courses, and modest amount of rough and very, very light winds and really wonderful temperatures. So it was right for them to go, oh, still doesn't matter. I mean, knowing that you have to put up good score after good score is fantastic. So what a great year for him to break through for the first time. But it also speaks to something that shows you that certain things that you embark on as an organization, or in this case, the PGA Tour, is working. And you want it to work most. Yeah, you want it to work for you as a business, but you want it to work for players. And Semi Valimaki, similar to Matthew Pavone, who, because they performed well enough on the DP World Tour in certain seasons, because they now have that category of top 10, otherwise not already exempt to be able to play on the PGA Tour because of their results on the DP World Tour, then get membership on the PGA Tour. That's another player by way of that pathway that is now broken through and won, which is wonderful. Now, with respect to some of these other guys that we pointed out, there are certain things that we know. The 100 was a big part, and I thought, look, Steve Sands is an expert when it comes to from graduating from the whiteboard at Eastlake to having a research staff that is fantastic, and Johnson Wagner getting all that information, updating the data. This putt, he could go from 121 to 98. And that's interesting and it's fun. And I think that's what kind of the fall is going to represent as far as make the fall about employment. Because with football going on, you're going to lose a fair share of the audience. But people who are really invested in the PGA Tour and the professional golf product are going to pay attention to these employment stories. But the subset of that, with the way that the PGA Tour is now constructed with the Signature Series, making it a multi-tier tour, 51 to 60 is huge because you know, as you open presents and gobble down some turkey this week, that those guys right there know that they are in the first two Signature Series events of 2026. The AT&T at Pebble Beach and the Genesis returning to Riviera, hosted by Tiger Woods. Semi Valimaki, he wins. He gets himself to 51st. Again, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it until I'm blue in the face. You win a golf tournament on the PGA Tour, you should be greenlit for 2 signature starts. You shouldn't have to continue to plow the field and say, please, please, sir, can you give me some more gruel? Am I good enough to play in a Signature Series event? You win, you should be in 2. All right, I move on from my soapbox. Max Gracerman. How about Max Gracerman and what he did? He went from 89th, or Max McGreevy did. He went from 89th to 60th. Do you see him right there? And that's 63 in the final round. You know who he nudged out of the top 60? Jordan Spieth. So all those guys right there know they're going to Pebble Beach, they're going to Riviera. And the fact that you have those starts, one is a no-cut event, one has a modest cut, Genesis, Tiger, Jack, and the late, great Arnold Palmer, those events have a modest cut associated with him. Let me just say this about the Jordan Spieth kind of storyline, not in the field, you know, sitting there hovering right around 60, and a lot of people were chafing that he got some sponsor exemption starts in Signature Series events. I don't jump up and down about sponsor exemptions. You foot the bill, you make certain choices. It's your product, and you want to ensure the best you can. Now, I don't want them to get Signature Series sponsor exemption starts in all of them. Jordan Spieth will get in the AT&T. He's got it on his bag. He's got it on his shirt. He'll be in the field. Genesis will be more interesting because there is only a certain way for him to get in there, and it's going to be by way of the attrition of guys who don't make the start, meaning you got to have some guys who are going to withdraw, and they have a shorter field. I think the number is 73. It's interesting to note that one of the players who is exempt into that event, who I'm guessing, don't know this definitively, but it made it seem when he gave out the information that he had back surgery, I'm speaking of Justin Thomas, that he will probably not be good to go by then. I think the best hope for Justin, who knows, can he play in a couple of or one event that he won, the Players? Can he make the first major championship start at the Masters? I think that's more like what he's hoping for. I wouldn't imagine he's going to be playing in February, so Jordan may get the pass by way of his buddy JT into the Genesis. And let me just say one last thing about this past week, and I was caught up with Davis Love III for a minute, caught up with the tournament director, said hello to a number of players. It's not like the atmosphere on that range was like, I can't breathe. They're not like that. They go play golf. And they live, some better than others, with the consequences, circumstances, outcomes of what their rounds produce. But if you have not seen the little post-round stand-up that Justin Lauer did on Friday because he missed the cut, and he got very emotional talking about the fact that he's not going to be top 100. And now he's in that, somewhat precarious spot of being 101 to 125, and how many starts will he get? And effectively, he's lost his job. Like, he knows he can't go to the office every single week. And that's something, even Matt Kuchar said, I haven't lost my job in a while. But Justin Lauer expressed himself in a way that was so real, so raw. And I've said this before, vulnerability and sharing vulnerability, especially publicly, is actually one of the most courageous things anybody can do. And I get it. It's golf. I mean this in a relative sense. Sports courage. If you've not seen that, watch it. All right, we take a break. He'll play wherever he wants. He's a two-time major champion. He's a gold medalist. He's the X-Man. And he is going to play golf on Friday because they're going to turn back the clock. They're going to play a little skins game. They've made an alteration of the format. They're going to play it in Florida. It's going to lead what is a full broadcast sports day on Amazon Prime Video, and they will start the meter at 9 a.m. Eastern with the skins game. Xander Schauffele, right here on a Monday. 5 Clubs on Golf Channel and Sirius XM's Channel 92 on PGA Tour Radio. Nice to have you with us Thanksgiving week. The X-Man is next. Welcome back in this Monday edition of 5 Clubs here, Golf Channel, also PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. This segment brought to you by Golf Pride. When it comes to grips and options and the best materials and the best products, nobody touches Golf Pride. This is our lone show of the week, Thanksgiving week. The end of this week, something that I loved, and I mean loved when I was a kid. The skins game returns. Joining us now, two-time major champion, gold medalist as well. Xander Schauffele will be part of the skins game Friday morning on Prime Video. Happy Thanksgiving week. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for having me on. I'm, kind of enjoying my off season.
Which you should, because life is different. The house looks different when you wake up. Let me start there. Look, I know this as a parent myself, and I'm sure you've had friends who said there's nothing like that feeling. There's nothing like that face and what it does to you forever. What was it like?
It's been awesome. I think nothing has really taken me by surprise. If anything, it's brought my wife and I closer, and I just feel the timing of it is, I feel lucky. I feel lucky to be able to enjoy this time. I think I would still enjoy it if this happened in January, but man, it's a lot nicer that I have a couple months off to sort of, watch them grow up a little bit, be at home, help my wife out, not have to stress about work, those kinds of things. So feeling fortunate for that.
That's very well said. It's interesting. I was having this conversation with somebody about what you guys do, and women as well. And I said, look, they're always away. They're always getting on a plane to leave the people that matter most to them. And for you to have this time to really not only be aware of it and appreciate it the way that you do before you got to get back to work is great. I mentioned also the skins game. Look, let me tell you something. I didn't have 3 channels when I was a kid, but it felt like it. I didn't have much. I love this event. Have you gone back and watched any of these?
A little bit. I saw a clip of them playing in the desert. I remember seeing Player, Nicholas, Watson.
Was it when Trevino made the hole-in-one at Alcatraz?
I can no. It was more just I was just trying to watch some of it just to kind of get the feeling because I didn't watch a lot of it growing up. So I knew my dad talked about it when he heard about it. He was excited. Not saying it's like an old thing, but he spoke highly of it, and it's an honor to be a part of it. I think we're all excited. A little nervous. It's the day after Thanksgiving. I don't know if that's like the normal date that it fell on, but maybe we'll have to ease up on the wine Thanksgiving Day.
You're right. And you guys lead. Here's the thing, Xander, that I think is the best part, whether it be for you guys individually, but for the PGA Tour for men's professional golf. You lead a lineup of programming on Prime Video Friday that, like, the biggest stars in sports and you guys lift the lid on all of it. You got to appreciate the value that is for what you guys do. That, look, what are we going to do the day after? Is Black Friday, all the women are out shopping, not to stereotype, but you know what I mean. And we've got golf at 9 a.m. Eastern time leading to football and the basketball at night. That's great, isn't it?
We sort of looked at it and we're like, it doesn't get much better than that. Amazon Prime putting up the Skins game. We have hard, start and stops, and a few tweaks have been made to sort of the round of golf just to make sure we can get it all in. Once football starts and the show starts, the ball needs to get rolling.
Let me ask you about a few other things. As people look at what you've done in your career, and one of the things that I've observed is this managing of energy, but also the acceptance of outcomes. How have you evolved as it relates to whether it's outcome from a hole, around a tournament, a season, in terms of being maybe more pragmatic about results and moving on to the next? Because I have an example I'm going to share with people specific to you, but how have you evolved in that way?
I imagine I feel old, I watch someone like I'm at home and, I'm watching one of the days I was watching Black Desert. I see Michael Brennan winning, his first or second tournament. I'm sitting here on the couch holding my son, like, here we go. Like, this is what's coming out on tour. So I've definitely gotten older. The game is I'm growing with the game, trying my best to, but been playing tournaments long enough, been in tight spots long enough to really appreciate big moments. And at first you shy away and you're not used to them, and then you slowly get used to them. And once you're able to accomplish sort of what you want to in that spot, it gives you a lot of confidence. So, and then you just sort of hopefully stack those chips as your career goes on.
You mentioned about Michael Brennan, and it is kind of like, okay, this is the future is here. And there's a few other examples, but I actually referenced something about you last week on the show, because we were talking to instructors, and Chris Como was one of them. And I was talking about you, Final Round Open Championship 2024. You're in the deep end of the pool. Yes, you'd already won a major, 13 and 15, 183 ball speed, 107 apex, 15, 185 ball speed, 119 apex, different shape. And I said, look, it's one thing to accomplish that with a guy over your shoulder in a lab. It's another thing to get in the middle of the blender and do that. That as a pretext to this, when you went to Chris and you said, okay, let's help me evolve, what was it that he needed to make you feel comfortable about the process of your own transformation?
Understanding. I had a lot of questions, and that's sort of honestly what sort of got me in a little bit of a hole this year. When I sat with Chris, he gave me, a couple pieces of information that just sort of turned to gold immediately, and I could kind of feel it as soon as I started hitting. And the rest was history. I sort of got extremely excited and was so committed to what he was telling me that I just ran with it. And it didn't matter. I think 18 at Pebble was a really big moment for me. Chris really likes this when I set up on the tee and I was blowing like 25 left to right, and I'm sitting there trying to get the club more across. And I sit there and I think I make a 9 on, or 8 or 9 on 18, and then they cancel the tournament. So like my last hole, but I sat there I was ready to 10 cup it, just sitting there trying to get the club across, hitting a fade, off the ocean into the fairway, and I was just toe pulling it low left, and I think Patty's looking at me like, what? He just kept handing me golf balls, and I was like, here we go. Like, I want to get this. I want to know what this feeling is, in a really pressure situation. So I felt like that was a good place to try it, and it obviously didn't work, but I think it paid off later in the season.
Well, obviously it did, and it's interesting. The Ryder Cup for you, I'm guilty of this. It's a reflex. Somebody has a good Ryder Cup. It's usually somebody whose profile is more modest than yours is, and you go, well, this is going to be a jumping off. People did it with Scheffler. Understandably, he hadn't won yet at Whistling Straits in 21. With you, though, I thought it was different in the sense that you played exceptionally well, and then you won a couple weeks later. Did that transfer? Did that body and mind responding to an environment that you've been comfortable in before, and doing it and being in that place again, is that the reason why you won 2 weeks later, or at least part of it?
I think even though we lost, just from a personal standpoint, I was able to hit some really good shots again at the Ryder Cup. Like you said, in extremely high pressure situations, that gave me confidence. The confidence, like you said, a month worth of confidence. More credit to my team. Just we sat down after I missed East Lake, after the injury earlier in the year. I was having a kid. It was kind of my son was a blessing, just because he came at a nice time for me to forget everything that just happened, love on him and my family. And then I had to sit down, with part of my team just to go over sort of what happened this year and how to address it. So coming back to practice, even for a short time before the Ryder Cup, I felt recharged. I was I was the only guy at the Ryder Cup that played a little amount of golf. So, I probably had the most energy compared to my whole team missing, 7 weeks early in the year. But just a good plan of action created by my team to attack, and then that big confidence gain at the Ryder Cup, and then that drag into Japan.
I've talked in the last couple of weeks to a couple of guys that have captained teams that you've been on, Jim Furyk, Davis Love III. And it's not about reacting to the outcome. It's just reacting because the Ryder Cup is so important to not just golf, but sports, of which I love it all. Would you tweak anything on the American side as far as the system? The way that vice captains and captains are entered into the system and remain for a certain period of time, whatever it is, what would you alter?
I mean, I haven't thought too much about it. I think that's a probably a good place to start. Just having some sort of, whether, I've heard, these aren't even my ideas. I've heard guys talk about it. I'm like, yeah, sounds pretty good. Maybe having some sort of organization formed. I don't know if it'd be USA Golf, or I don't really know how it'd work, but just to have some familiar faces giving similar advice to in these team functions. So, there's so much stuff that goes on that I wasn't even aware of, and I'm pretty cool with Keegan, and he's like, there's a lot of stuff going on. And so, there's times I'd be like, I'll get back to you, man. Like, we'll talk about something some other time. But it's definitely a lot. And I think, as a player, to jump into that seems really scary. I mean, the best job seems to be like a vice captain. I'm saying it the whole time. Is Gary, Webb, Sneds, Furyk, those guys look like they're having a blast the whole time. Maybe not Jim. Jim was grinding the whole time, but the other guys were sort of, helping us and hanging on the range and seeing if we need anything. That seems like the captaincy that I'd like to take.
There's no doubt. It's the offensive coordinator position. If the play works, great. If it doesn't, you don't have to answer to the press when the game's over. Coordinator positions are killer. Now, they don't pay as much, but you're right. But I will say this. You use the term USA Golf. It's the same thing that Davis said. It's the same thing that Jim said. It's this idea that let's all be pulling this sled in the same direction, that let's not be territorial about the President's Cup and the Ryder Cup, that this system, whoever the captains are, vice captains are, let it be the same system. I think you would share that feeling, right?
I think so. I mean, I just think, talk about, Keegan kind of referred to Jim as the offensive coordinator, and like, no kidding, the guy knows, just from being around it, knows every single small thing that happens. The PGA of America guys will radio into Keegan something, and Keegan goes, huh? Whoa, what are we doing? And it's like small stuff like that. So it's like, to me, it's game day, and we're sitting there, and like I said, I think having an organization around you with familiar faces that makes you comfortable, make it sort of feel like clockwork. Sort of what myself and all these guys on tour do with their teams, whether they're big or small. We sort of have our own systems, and I don't see why attacking a President's Cup or a Ryder Cup should be any different.
All right, I hear chaos, which is great. It's loving chaos in the background. Let me get you out of here very quickly. 5 quick questions to go for you. Your favorite sandwich? What is it?
On course, peanut butter banana.
Okay, but I mean, be decadent, be gluttonous, be irresponsible. Not when you're working.
Sorry. My brain's so off. It would be a toasted, like some sort of rustic, like sourdough or some sort of toasted rye bread, some sort of steak sandwich, like some sort of nice cut of steak sandwich, a little bit of horseradish.
Very good. Yeah. All right. Back to your job. The player you like watching chipping and short pitching. Who's spooky, witchy like? Who's the guy?
Man, there's so many that are insane. I'd say the one where in a tournament, we all feel like we can do crazy stuff around the greens at times. Hideki, when I played Hideki at the Masters, he hit some spooky chips to like tap in that I don't think people appreciated that much when he won. He was in some weird spot. Like Augusta's all about hitting in the right spot.
Yes.
And then you leave yourself a chance to get up and down. You don't have to hit it to like every time, you know what I mean? There's like 3 or 4 holes in the back nine where he like absolutely stoned it. And I'm like, I mean, I know it's a little bit wet, but because it's wet, you have to play it a little different. Like, how many times have we practiced this? And he's just almost chipping in. And I'm like, dang, that's nice.
All right, the skill you wished you possessed, not golf skill, like playing the piano or ballet dancing or playing the banjo. What is the skill you wish you possessed?
Here we go.
Oh, you want to be a drummer?
I don't want to be a drummer, but for my birthday, my wife took me to a surprise. She didn't tell me where we're going here in Jupiter, and she brought me to a little music studio, like a guy who who teaches kids how to play instruments, and like a little music academy. And the guy like had a little bit of time, and for 30 minutes, he just tried to teach me like I wouldn't even say a few notes, but just like the most basic riff, I guess you could play. So I like loved it. Ever since I had my son, I just have been sitting there with my earpods in, watching Dromeo on YouTube while like rocking him to sleep, thinking these guys are insane. So I'm like, you know what? Like, what sounds like a healthy hobby to try. So here I am.
What a neat gift from your wife. What a thoughtful thing to do. All right, who is the yes, no, there's no doubt. All right, who is the player with the funniest temper?
That's a good one. The obvious ones would be like Terrell, where you can appreciate.
I mean, we see all that.
Gosh, I'd have to think. There's some guys that really get in there. Like, it'd be hard to think of right now, but I've definitely played with a few guys who have gotten into themselves while playing, and they're lovely people. Like, they're awesome, but you just want to steer clear when it's happening.
My favorite all time, like Bill Haas may be the nicest, most professional guy, but I have heard people tell me who close to him say, like, he will audibly say out loud, "You're the worst player on earth," like in the middle of a round.
I think Brian Stewart said some insanely funny things. One upset, something along those lines, maybe worse.
All right, the last thing, Thanksgiving, the Thanksgiving side dish that you have no interest in, that either has a high profile for whatever reason, and you just go, I don't get it.
With the sweet potato, they put like marshmallows by
yeah.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while. To be fair, we didn't really celebrate Thanksgiving in my house growing up. Dad's European, mom.
Right,
It's
right.
like I've been to a lot of Thanksgiving things. And I'm like, yeah, I'm out on that. I can't ride with that.
Is there a staple? Like, I now balance, I do brisket and turkey. I want the family to have choices. Because the turkey, I get it. I'll have a slice, but I want some brisket as well. Is there a side or an item that you do actually love?
It's like the most comfortable thing. Anything with potatoes, like potatoes done nicely, or like, I mean, with a little bit of a gravy that's well done, you're not going to not eat it. You know what I mean? Knowing that you're in for a long night or a short night.
Yeah, you better make it a short night, because Friday morning you have to go to work, because you start with the pot, you start with the bank, which I think is a very clever wrinkle of the Skins game. Friday morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Time, Amazon Prime Video, great quartet of players, obviously you included. Thank you so much for carving out all this time. Happy Thanksgiving. Looking forward to watching the Skins game with you in it.
Same to you and your crew. Thanks for having me, Gary.
Thanks so much. We continue here. Our lone show. That's a pretty good way to do a Monday with Xander Schauffele. Appreciate all the time from him. We continue right here on this Monday, right after this. Back in this Monday edition of 5 Clubs Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. This segment is brought to you by Century Insurance. Business insurance needs, they're essential. Are yours being met? If they're not, I promise you, Century will be right by you. They do great things in the game of golf as well with the USGA, the First Tee, and proud to be aligned with them. Speaking of pride and being proud, this is Thanksgiving week. And yesterday marked the conclusion not only of the PGA Tour season, but also the LPGA. And Gino Titikool went back-to-back, and she has proven herself to be, right now, she's the best player in the world. And she played alongside Nelly Korda. And look, I'm thankful for someone like her. I'm thankful for so many of the great players. And so she has a monster year and puts a bow on it by winning that event in back-to-back years. And like I said, playing alongside Nelly, who Nelly had a productive year, but off of the historic year of last year, and then obviously not getting a win this year. She had a couple of runners-up. She had some moments, but you got to believe that 2026 in terms of she's chippy in a great way, that she is going to win in 2026. It's just a question of how much, which ones, and will they include a major championship. But Gino Titikool is somebody who, if you look at that little nugget right there at the bottom, breaks Annika Sorenstam's 2002 record for scoring average for a season, which gets me to somebody else, which, again, Annika is the modern day benchmark in the women's game. And look, if you want to make a comfortable argument that she's the greatest of all time, I'm not going to push back. And there are old school people who will say Mickey Wright and Kathy Whitworth. And the point is, when you start doing things that the invocation of her name has to be included to give context, that is strong, which gets me to Scotty. Because I'm thankful for a lot of things, and I'll get to the more personal stuff as it relates to doing what we get to do here, and also what the game at large provides. But Scotty Scheffler makes me thankful for making the choice many, many, many years ago to want to pursue this, because excellence at the highest level is enthralling. And he just wrapped up another year in which he won the Varden Trophy. Adjusted scoring average, actual scoring average, strokes gained total. But he also did something that has not been done since Tiger 2000. A quarter century ago, Tiger Woods did something that nobody else had done, and that is first round, second round, third round, final round scoring average, number one. So after every round of this season on the PGA Tour, Scottie Scheffler put on the foam finger. That's crazy talk. To lead the PGA Tour and win the Varden Trophy is fantastic. But to lay down markers after every round, which is why I think Scottie Scheffler, it's not so much intimidation, but it's shadow. I call him the shadow. The inevitability that he's going to contend and he's going to win more than anybody else is, I think, a daunting thing for competition to deal with. And for him to lay down a marker after the first, second, third, and final rounds that you're not going to be better than me is a mark of greatness and focus that we don't see much, like once every 25 years. And the guy who did it before him is the standard by which most everything is measured, not only over the last 25 years, but really of all time. And there are other things, and let me just mention a few other things that Scheffler did. He accrued 750 world ranking points, and this is not about, well, the ranking system is flawed because live guys are not. I get it. But just to give context, Rory McIlroy had the second best year, and Rory has played a lot in the fall. Rory had 476, and he played more than Scottie, and he won the Irish Open, and he also finished second a couple times in the fall on the DP World Tour with stacked fields. 476, the other guy 750. And the other couple areas that he was best at, proximity to the hole from 50 to 125 yards, number one, but also number one in proximity from 200 to 225. Doesn't matter what club, it doesn't matter what distance, I will be closer to the hole than you. What do you think that does to the competition? And then the last thing for Scottie Scheffler, the bounce back stat. When he makes an error or makes a bogey, he is the most proficient at ending that moment faster than anybody. 36%, north of 36% of the time when he made a bogey, he made a birdie on the next hole. Nobody was close. That I'm thankful for, because to me, if you're great at TikTok, you're great at TikTok. I lean forward when somebody's better at the thing that I'm covering, and he is better. And by the way, I'm thankful for Rory, because Rory, I was being asked this last week, putting together kind of a retrospective on Rory's year. And if you could try to explain him to somebody whoever that somebody is, doesn't really know golf. And I said, have they ever been to the circus? Hey, have they ever watched trapeze artists? And no, Rory doesn't wear tights, but he, for all intents and purposes, is on a high wire. And the final round of the Masters was the greatest example of a guy in a harness. And you're thinking, okay, he's going to make it across, and he's just done a couple of flips, and he's landed on the wire, and he's going to win. No, the 13th hole. And even on 15, after he hit the great second shot, Rory is a gift to this game. And for everybody out there who doesn't like him, and you're going, no, he's not, you just are making the point that, yes, he is. Provocation, making you take a stand or a side on somebody, is inherent value. And he has as much value as anybody. And oh, by the way, being a lightning rod and the centerpiece of a European Ryder Cup team. And boy, am I thankful for the European Ryder Cup team. And it's not about, who you root for. They are one of the great teams that we've seen in sports for more than 3 decades. Their dedication, their commitment, their passion, all the way down to capturing a team photo in garb from the 1920s below the Brooklyn Bridge at 5:30 in the morning, the week before the Ryder Cup starts. I'm thankful for them because they are great to watch, and they, again, represent something that my dad said a long time ago to me. Collective achievement is one of life's great rewards. Don't they embody that? And also, let me say I'm thankful for all the people building golf holes today. How good do we all have it? Every time I turn around, there's another great golf course being built just over the border in South Carolina, not to mention out in Colorado and Rodeo Dunes and everything else that's being built and everywhere in between. We are living in the dawn of the second golden age, and I'm thankful for all of that. But most importantly, thankful to get to do this. because anybody who knows me knows that I love this. As my mother said to the Monsignor when I was 7 years old, when she said to my mom, "Do you think Gary would be willing to read the nativity scene at our Christmas pageant?" My mom said, "Yeah, I think so." And he said, "Well, there's a microphone." And my mom said, "Then he'll definitely want to do it." I'm very thankful to get to do this. And the only reason I get to do it is because people like Steve Hall and James McCoy and Kerrigan Bain and Julia Thompson, and not to mention Tyler, who I'm looking at right now, and Justin and Kevin and Rafe and Jameson and all the people here that dedicate themselves to doing this every day the best that we can. And finally, to the people that I play golf with, I was down with a dear friend, Kevin Shea, staying with Kevin and Dawn Shea down there in the low country of Georgia. They're the best of the people that I know. But playing golf holes with friends and looking out on the horizon and seeing fading light and going, look at this light and this texture. Because as I say here, not much, but is the mantra of Five Clubs. Because Five Clubs is more than just a TV show. It's the time, not the score. So for me to get to spend time with people and the fellowship and the nourishment that is afforded to me by playing golf, and yeah, I want to win, but what am I really winning? I've already won because I'm with the people, whether they're people I've just met, and usually by the end of the round, I want to be with them again. Thankful on this Thanksgiving week to get to cover this crazy game that challenges us, but most importantly, provides fellowship for all of us. When we come back, we're going to end today the way that we end most getaway days, all getaway days. Generally, they're Wednesdays. The greatest creatures. The thing that I'm most thankful for, Bucky and Charlie, when I walk in the door, dogs of the week, next. Back in here on this Monday, Thanksgiving week, Five Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM, Channel 92. This segment brought to you by Peter Millar. Oh, I'm thankful that I got crowned 15 years ago to be able to wear the finest apparel line. And when it comes to being able to go wherever you might live, you might have a retail store in your market. And to know the answer to that, you go to petermillar.com, which is where you can buy everything in the fall line, which is everything you would ever need in your life. One of the other things that I need, dogs. Need them when I walk in the door, need them right here. We normally do them on Wednesday. If you've got a dog that's got a relationship with the game of golf, send the photo or the video to us. It's dogs@fiveclubsgolf.com. Lone show of the week, bring them. Release the hounds. It's time for Dogs of the Week. Yes! That is Franny, sleeping with the Titleist Pro V1. Not the Pro V1X. She tested that the Pro V1 is better for her to gnaw on. Outstanding. That is Melly at the Latrobe Country Club, one of the great spots in the world, home of the king. And Melly is a rescue Brussels Griffin standing right there at that great entrance to Latrobe. That is Chipper, a 3-year-old golden retriever, very popular with the girls on the Western Kentucky golf team, including Sydney Hackett and Nina McMurtry at Bowling Green Country Club. That is Bogey. No, might be named Bogey, but that's a birdie in life right there. A 3-year-old golden retriever at Wilmington Municipal Golf Course in Wilmington, North Carolina. That is Robert Strother's dog. Also loves to surf. Outstanding. And finally, that is Don Armbrust's dog, Bo, submitted by Tracy West, who's the tournament director of what is a wonderful event, the Simmons Bank Championship on PGA Tour Champions. Bo right there, pictured with the champion just a couple of weeks ago. That makes the photo. So those are the dogs of the week on a Monday, and you can be rest assured that Bucky and Charlie, they will not only get turkey, they will get brisket as well. It's a glorious week for them. One last thing I want to mention, a photo was submitted to me. I loved high school golf. I loved the guys on my team. I had a very talented team, and I just a little congratulations to the 2A state champions from Bishop Moore. They were actually my daughter's high school's rival. But Bishop Moore, great in athletics. Those guys, including Jackson Parker, right there, they won the 2A team title in the state of Florida. Congratulations to those guys. Nothing like high school golf. I had a high school teammate, Mike Lynch, who went to Holy Cross and got his MBA from Harvard. but on our opening match of 1985, he had a Walkman in his pocket, and we were playing 5 and Dime at Ridgewood Country Club, which is the 6th hole on the center course, and he had his headset in, and Gary Carter hit a opening day home run on his first day as a New York Met. And I look back in the fairway, he hadn't holed out from the fairway. Carter had gone yard to win the game in the 10th inning. Those are the little things, the great things about the game of golf. So we will be gone tomorrow and Wednesday. Enjoy a wonderful Thanksgiving week. Next week, Craig Kessler, who is the commissioner of the LPGA, will be on the program. Tom Coyne, one of the great game chasers of all time, chasing the game in all different ways through the Golfers Journal and the Broken Tee Society, is going to join us. And Mike Weir, Masters champion and part of a great event on PGA Tour Champions as well. And let me just say on behalf of all of us here at 5 Clubs and Signature Sports Group, have a fantastic Thanksgiving. We're thankful for all of you. We'll see you next week.